In this video, I'm about to reveal 15 fast food places that seem harmless when it comes to drinks, yet are hiding risks most people never think about. Number 15. McDonald's is the place where just a drink can sneakily become a day's worth of sugar. A small Coke alone has about 50 grams of sugar that's already at or above the daily limit the American Heart Association recommends. Order a medium or large and you're doubling or tripling that without realizing it. I still remember when fountain drinks were truly small. Today's small would have been a large back in the 80s. The reason people swear McDonald's Coke tastes better isn't a myth. The chain chills its syrup and water before mixing, keeps the lines ultra clean, and tunes the sweetness ratio perfectly. The result? A crisper, more refreshing Coke that makes you sip faster and finish more. Add caffeine to the sugar hit, and you've got a habit loop that's tough to break. And it's not just soda. Their smoothies and sweet teas wear a health halo, but they behave almost exactly like soda in your body. A strawberry banana smoothie sounds innocent, but it's basically a sweetened fruit drink. Even the seasonal lemonades can pack hundreds of calories and sugars. Then there are the shakes. Some push past 100 grams of sugar in one cup. That's not a drink, that's a dessert in disguise. Even diet drinks come with baggage. Aspartame is still under scrutiny, and while regulators say it's technically safe, it doesn't make a 30-ounce soda any healthier. Plus, the acidity in both regular and diet sodas still wears down your teeth and keeps the sweet cravings alive. Older women may even want to avoid colas altogether. Phosphoric acid has been linked to lower bone density in that group. Here's the kicker. McDonald's spent years training us to think any size for a buck. Even if that deal isn't everywhere anymore, the psychology stuck. Bigger cups feel normal, so people buy them. That's how just grabbing a drink at McDonald's quietly turns into a health decision that stacks risk for your heart, your blood pressure, and even your bones. And remember those shiny fountain machines? Studies have found bacterial contamination in plenty of them, with the occasional plumbing failure leaching metals like copper into the mix. Rare? Yes, but not the kind of surprise you want in your drink. So when it comes to McDonald's, the fries aren't the only trap. The drinks alone can wreck your day's sugar budget before the burger even hits the table, and that's exactly why they belong on this list. Number 14. Burger King makes it almost too easy to think a drink is harmless, a simple sidekick to the Whopper. But a small Coke there already hits around 50 grams of sugar, the entire daily limit for many adults. Order the medium or large that's pushed with every combo, and you're 2 or 3 days over the American Heart Association's sugar cap before you even think about dessert. I remember when a large soda was 16 ounces. Now that's the small. The engineering behind these drinks is deliberate. Syrups aren't just sugar water, they're ultra-processed blends of high fructose corn syrup, colorants, and acidifiers that make each sip more addictive. Burger King knows this. The smoother the drink, the faster you finish it. And with wide straws and refills, you're encouraged to keep going until your blood sugar is spiking off the charts. Think switching to Diet Coke saves you? Not so fast. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame are still under the microscope, with studies suggesting they can keep cravings alive, disrupt metabolism, and even carry cardiovascular risks in heavy users. WHO and the FDA may disagree on the fine print, but no one is calling them a health drink. They're a trade-off, not an escape. Then there's the part you don't see, the machines themselves. A 2010 U.S. study found bacteria in nearly half the soda fountains it tested. Add in the occasional plumbing hiccup that leaches metals like copper into the drink stream, and the picture isn't just about sugar, it's about what else you might be swallowing. Fast food employees will tell you, cleaning those nozzles doesn't always happen on schedule. And don't forget the marketing hook. Value meals with an automatic soda nudge you into bigger portions. It feels like a bargain, but the real price shows up in your waistline, your dentist bill, or a blood pressure reading you weren't expecting. That cheap upgrade has a way of costing more later. What makes Burger King stand out is how it layers the risks. Sugar by the cupful, chemicals that erode your enamel, artificial sweeteners that confuse your body, and machines that don't always get the attention they should. It's not just soda, it's a perfect storm packaged as refreshment. And the part nobody mentions? You may think you're making a small choice at the counter, but by the time you drain that oversized cup, your body's already paying for it. Number 13. Wendy's has worked hard to sell beverages as a centerpiece, not a sidekick. The brand pushes its Dave's Craft lemonades, Coca-Cola freestyle machines with hundreds of flavors, and indulgent frosty cold brews like they're part of the main meal. But peel back the marketing. and the drinks here are some of the most quietly damaging choices you could make at a drive-thru. Take the so-called all-natural lemonades. They look fresh, they sound wholesome, but a medium cup often carries 70-80 grams of sugar. That's nearly triple what most women should have in an entire day and more than many men can handle without spiking blood sugar. Order a large, and you're talking about 18-20 teaspoons of sugar in a single cup. For someone watching weight, triglycerides, or blood pressure, that's a grenade dressed up as a glass of juice. Even the flavored versions strawberry, pineapple, mango, blueberry, pomegranate play the same trick. They lean on fruit puree language, but metabolically they behave like soda. No fiber, all sugar, and an acid punch that wears down tooth enamel faster than you'd think. A dentist once told me, it's not the candy bar that kills your teeth, it's sipping lemonade all afternoon. At Wendy's, that warning rings loud. And if you're trying to dodge sugar with diet sodas at the Freestyle machine, those come with their own baggage. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame are under heavier scrutiny than ever. The WHO flagged possible cancer risks last year, and multiple long-term studies show a pattern of higher diabetes and cardiovascular risk in heavy users. It may not be a direct cause and effect, but it's enough to make you think twice before refilling that zero-sugar cup. Then there's caffeine creep. Wendy's now offers sparkling energy drinks clocking in at 8,120 milligrams of caffeine, an energy drink dose hiding under a fast food logo. Add that to the frosty cream cold brews, which are basically coffee milkshakes, and you've got drinks that feel like treats but function like double shots of sugar and stimulants. For older adults juggling blood pressure meds or sleep issues, that combo can be a real problem. The hidden risk most people never consider? The machines. Peer-reviewed studies have found coliform bacteria in nearly half of soda fountain samples tested in the US, and ice machines don't always fare better. That's not unique to Wendy's, but it's part of the fast food fountain world. You simply can't see what's growing inside those nozzles. If you're immunocompromised or just cautious, the safe bet is bottled water over fountain drinks. What makes Wendy's stand out isn't one bad option, it's the whole structure. Drinks are designed as margin machines, sized to overshoot health limits, flavored to disguise sugar loads, and marketed as if they're little luxuries you deserve. For customers who grew up thinking of lemonade as a summer treat, the difference between then and now couldn't be starker. And here's the kicker. The drinks Wendy's promotes the loudest are the very ones that do the most damage. If you care about your heart, your blood sugar, or just keeping your teeth in one piece, skipping the drink here is one of the smartest calls you can make. Number 12. Taco Bell isn't just slinging tacos, it's one of the only fast food chains that built an entire identity around a soda. Baja Blast is their crown jewel, and it's everywhere. Giant cups, slushy freezes, seasonal flavors, and app pop-ups pushing you to grab one with your order. It feels like a quirky perk. In reality, it's a sugar and caffeine bomb that can quietly bulldoze your health goals in one sitting. Here's the math. A 30-ounce large Baja Blast carries around 109 grams of sugar. That's about 27 teaspoons, 3 to 4 times the daily limit the American Heart Association sets for most adults. I've seen people down one of these before their food even hits the table. You might think, it's just a soda, but your body sees a glucose flood that drives insulin spikes, triglycerides, and fat buildup in the liver. Add the acid content, and your teeth take a beating too. The freezes feel lighter, but are basically the same story: sugar, acid, preservatives, and synthetic dyes disguised as a fun slushie. They're easy to gulp down on a hot day, which makes the blood sugar spike hit even faster. A dentist once told me frozen citrus drinks can be worse than candy because you sip them steadily, bathing enamel in acid for half an hour straight. And then there's the caffeine. Baja Blast isn't a mild soda, it's stronger than Coke per ounce. A 40-ounce cup can push you near 180 milligrams of caffeine, which is basically a medium coffee. For folks with blood pressure issues, heart rhythm concerns, or trouble sleeping, that's not an innocent add-on. Pair it with the sugar load, and it's a 1-2 punch that older bodies don't always handle well. Sure, you can pick the zero sugar version, but that just trades glucose spikes for artificial sweeteners that the World Health Organization itself now warns against relying on long term. They may shave calories today, but the jury is still out on what they do over years of daily use. What makes Taco Bell drinks stand out is how aggressively they're pushed. Big cups, free refills, and limited time flavors are designed to make the drink the star of the meal. And it works. Until you look at the health costs that never make it into the ad. That's why Taco Bell lands on the don't buy drinks list. Not because they're unusual, but because they're unusually effective at getting you to swallow more sugar, acid, and caffeine than you bargained for. One oversized cup here can undo a week of careful choices, and that's the part nobody's putting in the commercials. Number 11. KFC doesn't just hand you fried chicken and call it a day. The chain has built a whole beverage program designed to hook you before the first bite. The big draw is PepsiCo's Sweet Lightning, a peach honey Mountain Dew that you can only get at KFC. On the surface, it looks like a fun little exclusive. In practice, it's a caffeine-loaded, sugar-sweetened soda, engineered to pair perfectly with salty food. A 20-ounce cup of Sweet Lightning comes in at about 25 grams of sugar. That's basically a whole day's worth for many women, according to the American Heart Association. Upsize to a 30-ounce large, and you're closer to 40 grams. Add in the caffeine, 135 milligrams in a big cup, right in 2 coffees territory, and you've got a drink that spikes blood sugar, heart rate, and blood pressure in one shot. For folks in their 50s and 60s already juggling meds, it's a rough mix. And don't think tea or lemonade is your safe bet here. The brisk, sweet tea that flows from KFC fountains is built on high fructose corn syrup, caramel color, phosphoric acid, and even red 40. The Tropicana lemonade, HFCS plus yellow 5, preservatives, and stabilizers that make it shelf stable, not fresh. These are industrial bases, dressed up with friendly names. Whether you're sipping cola, tea, or lemonade, the metabolic story is the same sugar flooding your system far past what your body needs. Even the old standbys like Pepsi or Starry pile it on. A 20-ounce Pepsi clocks 69 grams of sugar, about 3 days worth of the AHA's daily limit for women. 1 fountain cup, and you've blown past the guardrails before you've even looked at dessert. Some people switch to diet, thinking they've solved it. But the WHO has been blunt. Long-term reliance on artificial sweeteners doesn't deliver sustained weight loss benefits, and might be linked with diabetes and heart disease in the bigger studies. And while the FDA still says aspartame is safe at typical intakes, calling diet soda a health move is a stretch. At best, it's a stepping stone on the way to cutting sweet taste altogether. Portion creep is another kicker. KFC once bragged about a 64-ounce mega jug, and while that monster doesn't sit on every menu board today, the mentality's stuck. Bigger cups, cheap refills, and combo defaults keep the margins high and your sugar intake higher. Beverages are some of the most profitable items in fast food, which is exactly why every deal comes with a cup attached. And behind all that fizz is the invisible part, the fountain itself. Studies have found nearly half of sampled soda fountain drinks in U.S. restaurants carried coliform bacteria, with some showing E. coli. You can't see it, you can't taste it, but for anyone with a weaker immune system, that's not a gamble worth taking. So why does KFC land on a don't buy drinks here list? Because it's a triple whammy. Exclusive sodas that feel special but deliver sugar and caffeine loads your body doesn't need. Tea and lemonade that sound light but hide the same syrups and dyes, and a fountain culture that pushes size and profit over your health. One oversized cup here doesn't just quench thirst, it quietly piles on risks that older bodies feel more sharply with every passing year. That's the part of the meal nobody advertises. Number 10? Starbucks sells you the dream of a coffee house, but step back and look at what's actually in the cup. It's less cafe and more dessert bar. Drinks like the white chocolate mocha or caramel frappuccino regularly push past 55 grams of sugar in a single grande. That's more than a day's worth of added sugar before you've even considered a muffin on the side. For anyone watching weight, blood pressure, or blood sugar, those numbers hit harder than the caffeine ever could. And the caffeine isn't always where you expect it. Refreshers sound like fruit juice, but they're laced with green coffee extract, packing around 55 milligrams per grande. That's a hidden stimulant many parents and grandparents don't realize until a kid is bouncing off the walls. The lawsuit over refreshers not even containing the fruits they're named for just adds insult to injury. Marketing light and fruity, delivering sugar and caffeine. Even the wellness options carry a sting. A grande matcha latte, nearly 30 grams of sugar. The chai tea latte, closer to 40. That's soda-level territory dressed up as a health ritual. The plant-based milks don't rescue you either. Starbucks coconut milk is pre-sweetened and filled with stabilizers. It's more chemistry set than coconut. And the newer launches keep creeping further into energy drink land. Their iced energy line delivers upwards of 200 milligrams of caffeine in one venti, rivaling a cold brew. Pair that with a second coffee later in the day, and you've blown past the FDA's 400 milligram daily guidance without blinking. At my age, drinking that much caffeine after lunch is the fastest way to guarantee a sleepless night. Add-ons make things worse. Cold foam, sweet cream, flavored drizzles, each little extra adds another shot of sugar and calories. That simple cold brew you thought was safe, one layer of sweet cream doubles or triples the sugar content. The menu doesn't highlight that part. And behind all the syrup and foam sits the bigger pattern, ultra-processed everything. Preservatives like potassium sorbate, thickening gums, natural flavors that tell you nothing about what you're actually drinking. It's not about demonizing each ingredient. It's about recognizing that Starbucks has quietly shifted from coffee house to flavor lab, and our bodies pay the price. For anyone 40 and up, the risks add up quickly: spikes in blood sugar, higher triglycerides, worse sleep from hidden caffeine. It's exactly what cardiologists and endocrinologists warn about, just hidden under the smell of espresso and holiday branding. So, when Starbucks lands on a don't buy drinks here list, it's not because coffee is bad, it's because what they're calling coffee isn't coffee anymore. It's dessert in disguise, sold at premium prices with health consequences baked in. The cup may look the same, but what's inside is a whole different story. Number 9. Dunkin might sell the image of just coffee and donuts, but look closely at what's inside those cups, and you'll see why it lands squarely on a don't buy list. A large triple mocha frozen coffee? That's 100 calories and about 159 grams of sugar. That's 40 teaspoons more sugar than most of us used to keep in the kitchen sugar jar. Even the so-called lighter refreshers pack a wallop, with a large blueberry lemonade version running 74 grams of sugar. You don't need a nutrition degree to see the problem those numbers leave the American Heart Association's daily limits in the dust before you've finished breakfast. The real trick is how Dunkin builds its drinks. The company nudges customers toward flavor swirls instead of plain shots. Swirls sound fun, but they're really dairy sugar syrups with preservatives and color. The pumpkin swirl doesn't even contain pumpkin, it's just sweetened condensed milk, sugar, and artificial flavoring with a seasonal label. I remember ordering one once expecting spice and pumpkin, but it tasted like liquid pie filling with a caffeine kick. Clever branding, disappointing reality. And then there's Sparked, Dunkin's energy drink line. The large clocks in around 192 milligrams of caffeine, half the FDA's daily cap in one hit, plus close to 40 grams of sugar. That's basically an energy drink disguised as a coffee house option. Add that to your regular morning cold brew, and suddenly you've doubled your caffeine load, with all the jittery heart rate spikes and sleepless nights that come with it. Even their Health Halo teas don't hold up under scrutiny. Dunkin's matcha blend is mostly cane sugar with some powdered green tea sprinkled in. The chai syrup? Same story, sugar first, spices second. What sounds wholesome on the menu board acts more like soda in the bloodstream. For anyone over 40 trying to manage weight or blood sugar, those hidden syrups undo the tea image in seconds. The real kicker is portion creep. A large iced coffee at Dunkin is 32 ounces, and the way they pump syrups means sugar multiplies with size. One with cream and sugar large iced coffee can quietly deliver 35 grams of added sugar. Layer a French vanilla swirl on top, and you're over 60 grams before the whipped cream even hits the lid. I've seen plenty of folks grab one to sip through the morning, but that's a day's sugar gone by 10 a.m. For an audience that remembers when coffee was just coffee, Dunkin's drinks are proof of how far we've drifted. These aren't modest cups of joe anymore, they're industrial sugar and dairy concoctions dressed up as seasonal treats and daily pick-me-ups. And the older we get, the harder those liquid desserts hit. Higher blood pressure, higher glucose, worse sleep, weaker teeth. That's not nostalgia, it's the fine print hidden in the foam. Number 8. Sonic didn't just tack on a drink menu, it built its whole identity around it. The chain calls itself America's Ultimate Drink Stop, bragging about more than 1 million possible combinations of sodas, slushes, limeades, add-ins, and candy toppers. It sounds fun and customizable, but here's the catch. That very freedom is what lets sugar, caffeine, dyes, and preservatives sneak into cups in quantities that would make anyone's doctor raise an eyebrow. And because Sonic made size part of its brand, the iconic Route 44 cup holding 44 ounces, you're dealing with portions no one would ever pour at home. The numbers make the picture painfully clear. A Route 44 cherry limeade carries about 132 grams of sugar, 33 teaspoons in one cup. Ocean Water, that bright blue coconut soda, isn't far behind at 108 grams. Even their all-natural lemonade in the same size hits around 145 grams, more than 5 days' worth of the American Heart Association's sugar limit for women. I used to think of lemonade as a summer refresher until I realized a single cup was delivering more sugar than I'd eat in a week of home cooking. And then there are the energy drink mashups. Sonic's Rechargers with Red Bull stack 120 plus grams of sugar onto an energy drink base. That's not a quirky novelty. It's a dangerous pairing of stimulants and liquid sugar poured in a cup big enough to keep you buzzing, and not in a good way. Research has shown that even 32 ounces of energy drink in an hour can mess with heart rhythms. Sonic normalized selling that much in one go. Add-ons only make it worse. Toss in a coconut syrup, a splash of dragon fruit, or yes, even Nerds candy, and you're easily piling another 20 to 70 grams of sugar on top of an already overloaded drink. It's the kind of little extra that doesn't feel like much in the moment, but wrecks the numbers once you add them up. Even the colors carry baggage. Ocean Water's blue glow likely comes from synthetic dye like Blue No. 1. FDA allows it, but reviews keep calling for more research, especially in kids. Brown sodas, meanwhile, get their tint from caramel color, a process that can create a byproduct California lists as a carcinogen. Regulators say typical exposure is probably safe, but it adds one more reason to ask yourself if the nostalgia of a Route 44 Cola plus syrup combo is worth it. The way Sonic sells it all seals the deal. Half-price happy hour, dollar drink days, app promos. It's engineered to make a 44-ounce sugar bomb feel like a daily routine instead of a rare splurge. And because 90% of Sonic locations are franchised, how clean the machines are or how careful staff are with hygiene can vary wildly. University studies have found bacteria in nearly half of sampled soda fountains, and state inspections have documented mold in Sonic ice machines. That's not exactly the kind of flavor customers expect in a Route 44 refill. So what you get at Sonic is a triple threat: massive sugar doses, oversized cups that normalize excess, and systems that may not always be as clean as they look. For anyone past 40 trying to keep blood sugar, blood pressure, or sleep under control, that's a dangerous combination hiding behind colorful names and 2-for-1 deals. The cheerful menu board makes it look harmless. The numbers tell a very different story. Number 7. Dairy Queen has always carried that nostalgic glow cones, sundaes, and the orange push-up cups we remember from the mall food court. But if you glance at today's drink board, it's less refreshing stop and more dessert shop in disguise. A small chocolate shake racks up 67 grams of sugar, 17 teaspoons, and that's before you've touched a burger or fries. Add the 14 grams of saturated fat and even a gram of trans fat still showing on the label, and you've hit a full day's heart health budget in one cup. The lighter-sounding Orange Julius drinks are no better. A small Julius Original hides 50 grams of sugar, while flavors like Piña Colada top out near 77 grams 19 teaspoons. They carry a smoothie aura, but in reality they're closer to candy store slushes. Some even list egg whites and sodium benzoate preservatives, which you'd never expect in a drink. I ordered one years ago, thinking it was fruit juice with a splash of yogurt. Turns out, it was basically a sugar bomb with a side of additives. And the Misty Slush line? Bright colors, icy texture, and plenty of red 40, yellow 5, or blue 1, depending on the flavor. In the UK and Europe, those dyes legally require a child behavior warning label may affect activity and attention. In the US, they slide right under the radar. If you grab a Misty Freeze, you're stacking that dye-filled slush with soft-serve ice cream, pulling sugar and saturated fat together into a double punch. Even the Moulaté frozen coffees don't deliver what people think they're paying for. DQ's own FAQ admits a 16-ounce cup has just 15 milligrams of caffeine, barely more than decaf tea. So you're not really getting a coffee pick-me-up. You're drinking a sugary milkshake flavored like coffee. For anyone watching blood sugar or triglycerides, that distinction is a costly one. There's also the matter of how these drinks are made. Dairy Queen is a franchise-heavy chain, which means soda fountains and soft-serve machines live or die on how disciplined each store is about cleaning. Peer-reviewed studies have found coliform bacteria in nearly half of tested fountain sodas across U.S. restaurants, and inspections have flagged moldy buildup in soft-serve equipment. Most people never think about what's hiding behind that friendly swirl of whipped cream. The ingredient lists bring one last twist. Polysorbate 80, carrageenan, and carboxymethyl cellulose are common in DQ's drink bases, They're emulsifiers that keep things smooth. Regulators call them safe, but early human studies suggest they can disrupt gut bacteria and stir up inflammation when they're eaten often. If you're already managing cholesterol, blood pressure, or blood sugar, layering emulsifier-heavy shakes and slushes onto your week isn't doing your body any favors. So here's the picture. Dairy Queen's drinks pile up sugar in soda bottle levels, stack saturated fat on top, stir in dyes and preservatives, and depend on machines that may or may not be squeaky clean. They wear the mask of childhood nostalgia, but the numbers and ingredients tell a very different story. What looks like an innocent shake or slush can quietly add up to a few days' worth of sugar in one sitting. That's not refreshment, it's a slow slide into the very problem so many of us are trying to keep at bay. Number 6. Arby's likes to brag about its sandwiches, but the real kicker sits in the cup. Since switching over to Coca-Cola in 2018, the chain's drink stations have been pouring the usual lineup of sodas, lemonades, fruit punches, Powerade, and shakes. On paper, that sounds harmless. But when you look at Arby's own 2025 nutrition guide, the numbers start to feel less like a side beverage and more like a science experiment in sugar loading. A medium Coke with ice lists 44 grams of sugar, about 11 teaspoons. Skip the ice and you're at 62 grams, or nearly 16 teaspoons. Scale that up to a large no-ice pour and you've just hit more than 100 grams in 1 cup, 25 teaspoons. For context, the American Heart Association says men should stick to 36 grams per day, women to 25. One drink, with no refills, can bury both of those limits before you've even touched curly fries. The shakes are even more deceptive. A regular Jamocha shake packs 71 grams of sugar. A large orange cream, 109 grams. That's 27 teaspoons of sugar in a drink marketed as a treat alongside lunch. Add the saturated fat and calories, and you're in dessert territory dressed up as a sidekick beverage. I remember grabbing a Jamocha in my 20s thinking I was getting coffee and ice cream. But the caffeine barely registers, and the sugar crash hits like a brick. Even the so-called better options come with their own traps. High C and Minute Maid lemonades look fruity, but they carry sugar loads right in line with soda. Powerade is pitched as hydration, yet the medium still runs 42-59 grams of sugar. Unless you're running a marathon, it's basically sugar water with sodium. The labels give them a health halo, but metabolically they behave like candy in a cup. Diet sodas aren't a magic pass either. They cut sugar today, yes, but the World Health Organization warns against leaning on artificial sweeteners as a long-term strategy. Studies keep finding links between heavy diet soda use and higher risks of diabetes, stroke, and heart disease. If you're already watching blood pressure or glucose, it's a shaky foundation to build on. And then there's the hidden side, the machines themselves. Multiple studies have shown soda fountains harbor bacteria and biofilms if they're not meticulously cleaned, something franchise restaurants struggle to do consistently. Add in the infamous case of a rogue Arby's manager tampering with milkshake mix in Washington, and you see the vulnerability. One shared system, one bad day, and your drink carries risks you'll never taste. The part that gets me is how Arby's is unusually transparent about just how much ice and size change the dose. Their own guide shows that the sugar can swing 20 to 40% depending on the ice level. So when a cashier asks, "No ice?" and you say, "Sure," you're quietly saying yes to an extra 20 grams of sugar. It's a sleight of hand that most people don't even realize. So when you put it all together, dessert-level shakes, colas that hit triple-digit sugar counts, fruit punches that masquerade as juice, diet sodas with question marks, and machines that may or may not be as clean as you think, you start to see why Arby's belongs on a list of places where the cup is the real hazard. You don't need a refill to prove it. Arby's own math tells the story. Number 5. Subway sells itself as the fresh option in fast food, but what's hiding in the drink cup doesn't line up with that promise. In 2025, the chain struck a deal with Pepsi, so more and more stores are pouring Mountain Dew, Starry, Gatorade, and Brisk teas instead of Coke. On the surface, that just looks like a brand switch. In reality, it changes the sugar loads, caffeine levels, and additives people are now sipping with their turkey subs. Here's what that means in practice. A 20-ounce Pepsi runs about 62 grams of sugar, 15 teaspoons. A medium at Subway, closer to 30 ounces, pushes that number to almost 100 grams. And if you grab a 40-ounce large, you're staring at more than 130 grams, 32 teaspoons. For reference, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 36 grams a day for men and 25 for women. One medium Starry or Pepsi at lunch, and you're already several days over the mark. I remember the first time I saw the teaspoon math laid out, I never looked at a fountain refill the same way again. Sports drinks don't bail you out. Gatorade is marketed as hydration, but a 20-ounce bottle has 34 grams of sugar plus a wallop of sodium. Upsize that at Subway, and you're drinking the equivalent of soda calories plus a salt packet. Unless you've just run a half marathon, your blood pressure doesn't need that extra load. Same goes for brisk teas and lemonades sold as natural and refreshing, but each small cup already exceeds what many women should consume in added sugar all day. The acidity from citric acid just adds to enamel erosion and tooth sensitivity, something many of us feel more as we get older. Diet sodas aren't a get-out-of-jail card either. The zero-sugar Pepsi options lean on aspartame and ACE-K. In 2023, the World Health Organization flagged aspartame as a possible carcinogen and advised against long-term reliance on artificial sweeteners for weight control. That doesn't mean a single Diet Pepsi is dangerous. But if you're counting on it daily to manage weight or heart risk, the science isn't exactly cheering you on. And then there's the hidden side, the machines. Self-serve fountains and ice bins are supposed to be broken down and sanitized daily. In practice, inspectors keep finding mold in ice machines and biofilm buildup in nozzles across chains, Subway included. It's not every store, but it's common enough that public health researchers keep publishing studies about it. If you've ever noticed a sticky soda lever or a cloudy ice, you know the feeling it doesn't inspire trust. Add all of that together, and the healthier image Subway sells, with its sandwiches collapses once you step to the fountain. The switch to Pepsi has only sharpened the problem. Sugar bomb sodas, acidic teas and lemonades, sports drinks no desk worker needs, and diet sodas with their own baggage. It's a lineup that quietly stacks risk for anyone already watching blood sugar, blood pressure, bone density, or sleep. And yet, it's sitting there next to the veggie sub like it belongs. It doesn't. Number 4. Five Guys has a reputation for simple burgers and fries, but the drink station is anything but simple. Between the Coca-Cola Freestyle machine with over 100 flavors, bottled sodas and juices, and their famous milkshakes, the chain has turned beverages into a profit engine. And that's exactly where things start to look less like refreshment and more like trouble. Start with portion sizes. The regular fountain cup is 24 ounces, the large is 32. To put that into perspective, a can of Coke is 12 ounces with 39 grams of sugar. Do the math, 24 ounces doubles that to about 78 grams, and a 32-ounce cup breaks 100 grams. That's 25 teaspoons of sugar in one drink, 3 to 4 times the American Heart Association's daily limit. I once ordered a large cola here without thinking it was basically my whole week's worth of sugar in a single styrofoam cup. And then there are the milkshakes, which Five Guys proudly calls hand-spun. The vanilla base alone is 670 calories, with 82 grams of sugar and more saturated fat than most people should eat in a day. Add Oreos and peanut butter, two of the most popular mix-ins, and you're suddenly staring down a 300-calorie drink that clears 100 grams of sugar. It's dessert dressed up as a side beverage, and for anyone over 40 keeping an eye on cholesterol or Ione-Key, that's a real setback. Even the so-called lighter choices can fool you. Simply lemonade or Minute Maid lemonade sound refreshing, but ounce for ounce they pack as much or more sugar than cola. The fruit story on the label doesn't change how your body processes it. It still spikes blood sugar, drives triglycerides up, and erodes enamel with acid. Diet sodas and zero flavors don't get you off the hook either. Five Guys Freestyle machines use aspartame, ACE-K, and sucralose to sweeten the diet side. Regulators allow them. But the World Health Organization in 2023 came out flatly against relying on non-sugar sweeteners for long-term weight control. Cohort studies even link heavy intake to higher diabetes and heart risk. So yes, you're skipping sugar in the moment, but you're not buying health insurance in a cup. And let's not forget the hygiene question. Studies of soda fountains across the US have found coliform bacteria in nearly half the drinks sampled, sometimes even E. coli. These machines are supposed to be broken down and sanitized daily, but anyone who's seen a sticky nozzle or cloudy ice knows reality doesn't always match the rule book. For older adults or anyone with a weaker immune system, that's not an abstract risk. What makes Five Guys unique is the way the menu itself pushes you toward drinking more. Salty fries, complimentary peanuts, and the endless freestyle variety encourage sipping and refilling. Each top-off adds another 40-50 grams of sugar or another 40-60 milligrams of caffeine. It's easy to leave with twice what you thought you were drinking. Put it all together and you see why Five Guys drinks land firmly on the do not buy list. Between oversized portions, milkshakes that are basically stealth meals, fruit drinks with soda-level sugar, and diet options with their own baggage, the safest move is to walk past the freestyle machine. Enjoy the burger if you want, but skip the cup, and you'll skip a lot of problems you didn't order. Number 3, Popeyes might hook you with crispy chicken, but the drink that comes with it is the real gut punch. Their own 2024 nutrition file shows that even a small soda or lemonade can pack 61 to 73 grams of sugar. That's 16 to 18 teaspoons in a cup they call small. For women, that's 2 days' worth of added sugar in a single drink. For men, it's almost double the recommended daily limit. I've seen folks order a combo thinking the drink is the least of their worries. It's actually the heaviest hit. The sweet tea isn't a safety tour either. It's marketed as cane sweet, which sounds homespun and harmless, but metabolically it's the same sugar spike. One small iced tea runs 45 grams, 11 teaspoons. Add in caffeine, and now you've got a drink that can raise blood pressure, disturb sleep, and still overload your daily sugar count. That Southern classic hits harder than most people realize. Even the lemonade comes with extra baggage. Citric acid that erodes enamel, preservatives and dyes you won't see on the menu board, and nearly 200 milligrams of sodium in the small size. For anyone watching blood pressure, that's a stealth problem hiding in a cup of refreshment. The same story plays out with Fanta, strawberry, and High C. They bring sugar by the bucket and dyes like Red 40, which many parents and grandparents are already cautious about for kids. And here's the kicker. What comes out of the nozzle isn't always as clean as it looks. Studies of soda fountains found nearly half of samples tested positive for coliform bacteria, some even with E. coli. Tea dispensers are supposed to be broken down and scrubbed every 24 hours, but anyone who's seen a sticky handle or a slimy ice chute knows that doesn't always happen. That's not paranoia, it's maintenance reality. Popeyes pushes these drinks hard because they're profitable. Bundles and combos make the cup feel free, but it's where the company makes its margin. Prices on food have nearly doubled in a decade, so drinks are leaned on even more to pad tickets. The health cost, though, is yours to pay. If you've got grandkids in tow, the problem doubles. Popeyes was flagged just a few years ago for offering only sugary drinks on kids' menus, no water or milk defaults. That means habits start early, and the kid-size lemonade is still a sugar bomb in disguise. At the end of the day, Popeyes doesn't just hand you fried chicken. They hand you a drink that's oversized, oversugared, and underdisclosed. The numbers aren't hidden, they're just not where you can see them. If you want the food without the health fallout, the smartest move is to say no to the cup. Keep the meal about the chicken, and let water do the rest. Number 2, Jack in the Box has quietly built one of the most aggressive drink menus in fast food, and it's not just about Coke or Sprite anymore. They roll out candy-branded sodas, Red Bull infusions, seasonal milkshakes that tip over 1,000 calories, even boba add-ons to iced coffees. It's a full-time beverage lab designed to sell you sugar and caffeine in the flashiest way possible. And let's be honest, when was the last time a fun flavor was actually good for your blood pressure or aonic? Even the basics are bad news. A small Coke at Jack has around 62 grams of sugar, a large, roughly 137 grams. That's 4 days worth of sugar for many women in a single cup. Swap it for lemonade or fruit punch and you don't escape, you're just sipping the same sugar with a fruit sticker slapped on the front. I've seen people order a medium thinking it's reasonable, but the medium crosses 100 grams of sugar, which is anything but. And the shakes, those are basically stealth desserts. A large Oreo shake lands at 100 plus calories and over 100 grams of sugar. That's a meal and a half in liquid form. Add Red Bull collabs into the mix and now you've got sugar stacked on caffeine energy spikes, crashes, heart palpitations. For folks already managing hypertension or sleep issues, that's a quick road to regret. Then there's the part you can't see, the machines. Studies show nearly half of soda fountain samples tested positive for coliform bacteria, with some showing E. coli. Nozzles, ice bins, syrup lines, they're supposed to be sanitized constantly, but you're betting your stomach on whether that happened last night. Jack also hides behind menu boards that only list calories, not sugar. You'll see 220 calories, but not the 6,130 grams of sugar riding in that cup. And the free refill culture makes it even worse. What looks like a small splurge can quietly become 40 ounces of sugar water before you leave the parking lot. This is why Jack-in-the-Box drinks belong on your skip list. They're engineered to be flashy, oversized, and profitable, but for anyone 35 to 70 trying to keep weight, blood sugar, or heart health under control, the costs are far higher than the 3 on your receipt. If you want to walk away with your health intact, order the burger, skip the cup, and bring your own water. Number 1. Chipotle has done something clever with its drink station. It looks healthier than your average burger joint, but the numbers tell a different story. Instead of a wall of Coke logos, you'll often see tractor lemonades and aguas frescas plastered with words like organic, natural, or farm. Sounds wholesome, right? Here's the catch. Organic cane sugar is still sugar. Your body doesn't care about the branding. It reacts the same way. Take their current nutrition sheet. A regular 22-ounce Tractor Berry Agua Fresca clocks in at 49 grams of sugar. Upsize to a 32-ounce, and you're staring at 72 grams. That's 18 teaspoons in a single drink, triple the American Heart Association's daily limit for most women, and double for men. And that's before you even touch your burrito. I've had friends order a light Agua Fresca thinking they dodged the soda trap. Turns out, it's basically soda in organic clothing. And it's not just the sugar. Those lemonades and fruit drinks are acidic, which dentists will tell you is like a slow sandpaper on your enamel. Combine sugar to feed the bacteria with acid to wear down the enamel, and you've got the perfect storm for cavities. If you've already paid for crowns or implants, you know how expensive that storm gets. Chipotle also pours the usual suspects: Dr. Pepper, root beer, Sierra Mist, even Crush Orange. A large crush packs 114 grams of sugar. That's 29 teaspoons. It's almost comical until you remember it's what people are actually drinking with a healthy burrito bowl. Toss in caffeine from sodas and teas, and now you've layered in heart palpitations, blood pressure spikes, and sleepless nights on top of the sugar load. Even the kids' menu doesn't offer much relief. The organic chocolate milk is 22 grams of sugar in a tiny 8-ounce box. The apple juice? Same deal. For a child, that's a full day's sugar budget in one drink, and then they'll probably ask for a sip of mom's lemonade on top. That's how taste buds get trained to expect sweet with every meal. And then there's the part nobody sees: the fountain itself. Peer-reviewed studies show nearly half of sampled soda machines carried coliform bacteria, with some testing positive for E. coli. Ice machines are no better biofilms love wet, cool equipment. Whether your local Chipotle is spotless or not, you're taking that gamble every time you fill a cup. So here's the punchline. The drink is often the least healthy thing on the Chipotle tray. The burrito might be loaded with sodium, sure, but the cup? That's where you find double and triple the sugar your heart can handle in a day, wrapped in branding that makes you think you're doing yourself a favor. And that's why, at Chipotle, skipping the drink isn't just a small tweak. It's the single smartest move you can make. Spend your money on the food, bring your own water, and leave the lemonades glowing in the fountain for someone else. Every one of these places banks on the drink being automatic. Break that habit once, and you'll never see the tray the same way again.